What's up guys, Dutogiraikonoka here, and welcome to another Blackrock Mountain card discussion. Recently, in fact earlier today, Blizzard released, or spoiled, I should say, Blackwing Lair, and supposedly spoiled 3 cards to go with it. I will say the first card that they've noted is in Blackwing Lair is the Blackwing Technician. Surprise, surprise, but that is not a new card. We've known about this one. So, that's negligible. Other than that, we have the Blackwing Corruptor. It is a 5-mana 5/4 with a battle cry of if you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage. The first thing I want to note is that being a 5-drop, this can be played in answer to a piloted Shredder, which is really, really relevant against a lot of the more aggressive decks these days. Against a lot of the other Blackrock cards, though, this actually doesn't kill very much. If you go back and look at like the Hungry Dragon, that won't die. What's it called? The Flamewaker won't die, Core Rager won't die, Imp Gang Boss won't die. And Dragonkin Sorcerer won't die. Yeah, there's a lot of things out of Blackrock that just do not die to the Blackwing Corruptor, but a lot of the cards out of Goblins versus Gnomes, specifically the mechs, will die. Especially Piloted Shredder, which is super relevant. So in a sort of drag row deck, and so far I've been anticipating that Priest would run that, if any class would run that, this would be an absolutely stellar turn 5 answer to a turn 4 Shredder. I suppose one of the problems with it is that this does not answer a... Well, it really doesn't answer most other 5-drops. It won't answer a Belcher. I guess it's a slightly better version of a Bomb Lobber. I'm assuming also that this is targeted, otherwise, with Battle Cries, usually Blizzard will state deal 3 damage to a random enemy character if it is in fact random. But yeah. I mean, aside from the highly played Piloted Shredder, this doesn't answer a whole lot of things. I guess in the emerging Secret Mage deck, it also does answer Kirin Tor Mage, but I don't see Kirin Tor Mage as being, you know, that great of a solution for this guy. That said, his stats are still Harrison Jones level, and he really helps a Dragro deck trade up. So, I mean, if you're running this guy with like a Dragonkin Sorcerer, or do we have... I guess actually an Azure Drake or Twilight Drake would both work in this case. Trading either of those into something like Dr. Boom would work with Blackwing Corruptor. But so far, and I'm going to hold back judgment fully on this card, we don't have enough dragons to make a Dragro deck work, in my opinion. Yeah, we've got the pretty good Dragonkin Sorcerer, we've got Hungry Dragon, and that's about it for really good dragons. I guess you could be running Fairy Dragon, but again, well, that would work in an aggro deck. But we don't have any 1-drop dragons, unless you want to count Dragon Egg, but I think that's irrelevant in a Dragro-style deck. We don't have that many good 3-drop dragons, if any. I know we've got Blackwing Technician, but there's no actual 3-drop dragon yet. Just a 3-drop that synergizes with dragons. For 4-drops, I guess we have a lot of dragons now, because we have the Hungry Dragon, we have Dragonkin Sorcerer, we have Twilight Drake. For 5-drops, we have Azure Drake. I don't think we have any relevant 6-drop dragons, and I know there's plenty of legendary dragons, but this is an aggro-style deck that we're talking about. Legendary late-game dragons, maybe you could get away with running one of them, like... I don't know. What could you even actually get away with running? Would Deathwing be relevant in a Dragro deck? That's beside the point. Assuming Dragro becomes a thing, this will be a great minion for it because it has decent stats as a 5/4 for a 5-drop that still trades with Sylvanas, Harrison Jones, Belcher. This card trades with a lot of 5-drops and trades with a lot of 4-drops. And his Battlecry answers the marquee 4-drop in the format right now, which is Piloted Shredder. But if we don't get enough relevant dragons to actually make running him in a deck work, to where you can reliably trigger that Battlecry and not suffer card quality for it, he's not going to be played. So it remains to be seen whether or not we get some good relevant dragons in Blackrock, or if this is just kind of a swing and a miss thing where it's like, yeah, okay, you got some cool dragon synergies going on, but there's not enough good standalone dragons to make running a Dragro deck worth it. So it remains to be seen, in my opinion, whether or not this card will be playable. Same with Blackwing Technician, and really any dragon other than Hungry Dragon, in my opinion. Hungry Dragon's the only card I've seen so far that is both a dragon and could work in a non-Dragro style deck because it's so good in Theft Priest. So that's Blackwing Corruptor. We do have one other card, Dragon's Breath. It is a mage unique spell. It costs 5 mana with the text deal 4 damage. If you were to cast this for full cost, it obviously sucks. It also has the text costs 1 less for each minion that died this turn. See, here's the problem. Mage is not a minion-heavy class. If this were like a Warlock card that could be used in Zoo, or a Hunter card that could be used in mid-range, or even, well, no, Face Hunter wouldn't work. Face Hunter doesn't trade. But something like Zoo, or mid-range Hunter, where trading minions and still being able to have plenty of minions on the board was something that the deck can do, then this card would be good. But in Mage, you've got 2 major deck types, which are Mech Mage and, currently, the Secret Mage, kind of a secret aggro mage fusion thing, that is in the meta right now, but neither of those decks really likes to sacrifice its own minions. And while it's true that this card can have its cost reduced by killing off your opponent's minions, that means either you're spending your whole turn trading, and this is like a flame cannon that only goes face, which makes it a worse version of Mind Blast, or your own minions are dying in the process, in which case, why would you run a card that forces you to make disfavorable trades to get value out of it? So I could be wrong on this, but I'm going to say Dragon's Breath is really not that good of a card, because you're not going to find a lot of ways in current mage decks, at least, to kill off minions and then still have the need to cast Dragon's Breath afterward. Just run Fireball or Frostbolt or Flame Cannon, get the guaranteed lower mana cost, and forget this thing. Why would you need this? Yeah. So to me, this thing reeks of being a Flame Cannon that costs 3 extra mana, whose only redeeming quality is, well, hey, if you sack your whole board, it is a Flame Cannon that can be targeted, right? Well, bad idea. Straight up bad idea. I'm willing to admit that I could be wrong on this. Maybe Dragon's Breath is a hidden gem, and it just went right over my head. But to me, this card seems like it's just not worth playing. Yeah. I guess there is a small degree of synergy between this and Flame Waker, because if you cast something like a Flame Cannon itself and end up killing off a few minions, say against Zoo where there's an Imp Gang boss, or against Face Hunter where there's maybe a Haunted Creeper and a Wolf Rider sitting around, and you manage to kill off a bunch of minions with the Flame Cannon on turn 4, so that this thing basically gets its cost dropped down to 2 mana, that would be pretty good. But we're talking about an ideal situation here where your opponent has set up the board to help clear it, with spells plus Flamewaker, and that's assuming you have Flamewaker plus another spell by turn 4 and Dragon's Breath to combo off with your opponent having all the minions necessary to set up a good Dragon's Breath. That's a lot of ifs. And for that many ifs, you might as well go run Divine Spirit Inner Fire. Because if you stick a turn 3 Death Lord, and if you have Divine Spirit plus Inner Fire plus Coin, you'll just win. Turn 4. So, yeah, this seems too gimmicky for my tastes. And that's all for these released cards, which kind of is saddening to me. They literally titled this part, The Dragons of Blackwing Lair. I don't see any dragons in these cards. Man, I was hoping I would get to review, finally, the relevant dragons that make Dragro a viable deck type, but no. We only get things that could be slightly useful if Dragro becomes a thing off of future released cards, but we don't know for sure yet. The other thing I do want to note, though, and card review's done, this is just theorizing. If you came here just for the card review, that's fine. I hope you enjoyed. Take care. But if you care about what I'm theorizing in the slightest bit, we haven't seen any legendaries, and the way Naxxramas worked was after every wing that you cleared, you did end up getting a legendary out of it. We had Myexna, Lotheb, Thaddeus and Fugan, Kel'Thuzad, and I feel like there was some other irrelevant Naxxramas legendary that we got. Well, there had to be, because that's only 4, and there were 5 wings, and Stalag and Fugan both came out of 1 wing. So there was Myexna, Lotheb, Thaddeus, or not Thaddeus, Stalag and Fugan. There were 2 other legendaries. Oh wait, I said Kel'Thuzad. So there's 1 other legendary that I'm missing. No. No, I am. Oh, right, Baron Rivendare. Right. Anyway. There were legendaries that came with each wing, and so far, the only legendary that I've seen at all out of Blackrock Mountain is Ren Blackhand. This means that we have 4 legendaries down, even though, just as many wings have been spoiled. We've seen Blackwing Lair, we have seen, what is it called? Where'd it go? We've seen Molten Core. We have seen Blackrock Depths, and we've seen, I think it's like the Blackrock Spire. Yeah, but we've only seen 1 legendary, even though 4 wings have been spoiled. Which means that there's at least 3 other legendaries for each wing that we haven't seen, and those could be relevant dragons. Based on the fact that most of the Naxxramas legendaries, mostly being everything but Lotheb, ended up being irrelevant. And I suppose there's an argument to be made that Kel'Thuzad is relevant as a substitution for Ragnaros in decks like Druid and Warrior. But that's still only, I'm going to call it like 1 1/6 relevant legendaries out of Naxxramas when we had 5 released. So, Rend is already 1 down for not being relevant at all. And yeah, there's 3 others that should technically be released to correspond with each of these wings. So I'm hoping there's some relevant legendary in one of these wings, preferably a dragon to help out with the whole emerging Dragro archetype, because I'm excited for that. Mostly because it looks like it favors Priest more than any other class, but Priest is my thing. Sue me. But, yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping that we get some really nice legendaries out of this. And class cards, actually. Because given the fact that we just saw a second mage class card to go with the Flamewaker, that means there's 2 class cards for every class. And I don't know either of priests yet. Don't know either of Paladins. Don't know either of Druids. Yeah. There's quite a few cards we don't know about yet. So I guess we'll see. But I'm still excited for Blackrock. I'm just a little disappointed by the fact that Blizzard seems to be withholding dragons. And I say they seem to be because if they're not withholding dragons, and in fact, you know, we can only expect to see maybe 1 or 2 more dragons out of Blackrock at all, Dragro is going to die, and it's really just going to be certain cards making slight shifts to the meta here and there, but there's not going to be some brand new, never-before-seen deck type. Like Dragro Priest, we've never even seen an Aggro Priest that really functions before. So, hopeful, slightly skeptical as well, but hey, still hyped. So, thank you guys for watching, and if you stayed to this point, you obviously care enough to watch 6 minutes of me theorizing, so thank you very much for your support. But regardless, take care guys, and I'll see you when the next set of cards are spoiled. Bye-bye.